Hello everyone, my name is Darius and I want to show you something with the new Studio One version 7 tempo detection feature. This is something that you've probably seen demonstrated by Joe Gilder or Gregor or Mike Injo, someone like that. And what these guys are usually doing is they're taking a performance that was recorded without a click and they are then getting a click for that performance and then matching up or allowing the MIDI or a loop to be used in that song, and it will automatically adjust and match, which is super cool in and of itself. But what I do is something kind of opposite of that. I like to take a song that has been recorded without a click and straighten it out to a click. And the reason I do this is my wife and I like to cover a lot of contemporary Christian music. We have something called the Sunday Serenade we do on YouTube and Rumble. And what we do there is we repurpose tracks that we've recorded from church in previous years. For example, one I'm using tonight for this example came from 2016, another one came from 2019, and we're making a track now current with my current template, which is always important for me. And we're going to be taking pieces from that and dropping them over into the new song. So this sounds like it might be very difficult and tedious, and in the past it would have been, because you would have had to do this by hand. But now we can shorten that process and make it a lot simpler and get very accurate work out of this, so that you can lay these tracks down side by side and have very little adjustment to do with them in the end. So I'm going to show you how that process works by looking at Studio One. So in Studio One, I've got this song from 2016 opened, and it is Jesus Messiah by Chris Tomlin. I've recorded this with Capture, chopped it out, put it into made a song out of it on its own, haven't done anything with it, never attempted to align anything. You can see the tempo down here is set at 120, which is not anywhere near right for this song. Ultimately, I want it at 83. So we're going to walk you through this process of how you can set all these tracks to work on a map system and set it up according to the tempo. So here's the first thing I want you to do. Open up your inspector pane right there and take a look at the tracks that are in here, and you will see that all of mine are set to Don't Follow. Now you can set them all to one or the other simply by, say choosing the top one and then hitting the shift key and clicking on the bottom one there and going up here and changing these to whatever you want to change them to. In this case, Don't Follow is where we want them. So once we've done that, then we're going to find the first beat of the song. And since I've already worked on this song, I already know where it is, and you probably do too. It's right here on this first drum beat. That does come in on the one of the first measure. So I'm going to go up here, make sure my snap to grid is turned off, because I want to place this accurately right over this first drum beat. The drum track is on the bottom. And I am going to use the control function, control key rather, and the A. Click on one of these, Control A now to select all of them. It's probably Command A or something like that on a Mac. Usually Command and Control are switched out. Now that I've got this selected, I am going to do Alternate X, and that is going to cut it right there at that first beat. I can then click over here, select that using the Shift key and dragging upwards, and then hitting delete. I don't need that for the time being. Now you might want to be putting this on the one of the first measure if you're doing what a lot of people do. I don't do that because I'm making click tracks and I need lead time, plus some of these songs have lead ins to them that occur before the first downbeat. So here I am going to use another control, another shortcut I like. This is Control L, and that will line everything up right there with my cursor, where I put my cursor in. So once I've got this lined up, I then have to decide how I'm going to get the track information, which track I'm going to use, or if I'm going to use multiple tracks. Now, I've experimented on this song in the past. I thought, you know, the drum kit would be the natural thing to use. It didn't work very well for me on this song. You can even try to choose a couple of tracks, or even 3 or more if you want to. Try to use these, like my bass right there. And then I could use all 3 of those and tell it to export the tempo to the tempo track. But I found that that's not the best way to go either. Sometimes you may have to do something like that because you've got a spot where your drummer's not playing, for example, or your chosen instrument is silent for some reason. So what I found that worked well on this song was just choosing my keys track, because I played all through the song, and I used that. So the tempo track, if you're not familiar with it, under the hamburger menu up here, you just go down and you click on the tempo right there, and you see this line up here. Now, it's kind of important where you start out at up here. 120 is where this song presently is. I know I'm going to wind up at 83 when I'm done with the whole thing, but that's going to be in another song. So I'm going to start right here with 83, and I'm going to select all these again. I guess I could have done that in the first place. And turn on my snap to grid and click on the 4, and then do Control L right there. So now I've got those all lined up on the 4. Now we may wind up doing this a couple times because we may see some things shift, but I'm going to click on the keys button right here, keys track, and I'm going to go to the audio section, and down here in audio you will see that it says detect tempo, which would just detect the tempo of this track, or you can choose extract to tempo track, which both detects it and extracts it. So we're going to do that as our first step here. You'll see a bunch of white lines or white dots appear up there, and you'll notice that my song shifted a little bit. So I don't like the fact that it shifted off the 4. And the reason it did that is because when it calculated that the tempo up here was 75. And so this isn't suitable to me, but it does give me some information. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to do Control Z and undo that. I'm going down here and I'm going to set my initial tempo at 75. So I want to make sure I'm back at the beginning of the track here, and we'll just change that to 75. And then we will realign everything onto the 4, just as we had before. Now I'm going to choose my keys track again, and I'm going to again do the detection stuff here and extract it to the track. This time I shouldn't see the big shift that happened before. Yeah, and you see now it stays right on the 4. So that's where I want this. The bottom track here is my drum, so there's my kick. It's right on. This kick is not quite on, as you can see. And as we go down, we'll see this kick is close again. This kick is close again. So what I will do now is I will go through measure by measure, and I will make some minor adjustments. And this is what has made things so much easier, because now you're already close to where you need to be. So put the cursor over the line, hold down the Control key on Windows at least, and the left mouse button, and then drag over to the beat and release. And now you see that because I started on the 5, it snapped it right over to the 5. Let's do that again on the 6, put it right there on the 6. I've got my snap to grid on here, that works well for this. And then we just drag this over just a little bit, and there we go, it's dead on. Our 7th measure here, we'll do the same thing, drag that over, that puts it on. And let's go down here and do one more measure just for fun. That one's already very close. I could just drag it drag what's already there if I wanted to do that. So I've done this song, so I'm only going to do those measures right here just for demonstration purposes. Alright, so now we've got a tempo map. We've gone through the song and we've corrected it to make sure that it's right on time. And we're just about ready to set this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these tracks again and pull them out this direction. So in case there was any lead-in information that I needed here, it would still be there, like this little hit right here on the mandolin would have been cut off. I'll eventually correct that with a bend marker, but I'm not worried about it for now. So what I want you to see now is that there's still no tempo set for these files. The only one that will have tempo information on it is the keys, because that's one I've used. And you can approve the tempo if you want to. It doesn't really matter at this point whether you do that or not, because what we're going to do is we're going to bounce this whole thing. And when we bounce it, it's going to take this information up here and it's going to embed it in each one of these tracks. And all of them will go from being not set to reading map. So Control B is what I do for that, or you can look it up in the event menu at the top, or right click over the thing and just go over here to the events and find the bounce selection. So that's just what we did right there. But now all these tracks are reading map now, no matter which one you click on. And because I had the snap to grid on, it automatically takes it up to the next bar. So now I could easily copy one of these out and put it in place without having to think about it too much. But let's look at it again now. So now that we've got the map set, you can see where we had adjusted it. Everything's still in place. So these new tracks now can be copied, and we'll do the drums here just for fun since we're doing that. So you can do Control C just to copy it. And I've got another song set up over here. This is the new one based on my new template and all my wife and I are working on. And you can see all these blue tracks right here were copied out of other songs and put in here. So the way I would do it would be like this, and this is a pretty neat feature. So I would create a track if I need to. So we'll just create a track real quick. And what I would do, because I would have set this up the same way on as I set up my regular song, I would go up here to the Edit menu, and the Edit menu, or if you want to do the shortcut, it's called Control-Shift-V. That's called Paste at Original Position. So when you paste it in here, it automatically goes to wherever the original position was. So because of that, then you can actually paste very accurately into these songs. And for some reason that one didn't quite do what I wanted it to, so but I can level it up right there. I may have thrown it off. I have a different numbering system over here, and that may have thrown it off somehow. But anyway, it normally works very well. But because it's on 2, I know where it's supposed to be. You can see here that the beats are in the right place, right here. All the ones that we adjusted at least are up to this point. So that's how you can copy and paste into the song. The tracks that I've done up here were all done that way. And you can see, for example, my vocalist starts right here on the first beat of the measure where he's supposed to start for the verse. And you can see that all my singers are lined up here. Well, all the singers except for one came out of the same song. This track right here, this shorter track, Karen 1 and Karen 2. So Karen 2 came out of a different song from 2019. And look at how, when I went through the process and lined everything up, look at how evenly everything is lined up through here. There's going to be little to no adjustment to be made on this song for where her vocal comes in if I use that other track. So here you've got two different songs being used to make a third different iteration of this song. All right, going back to our demo project here, so to speak. One of the things that I want you to do now is to change everything over to time stretch. And we're going to do that by clicking on the first one, holding down Shift, clicking on the last one, going up here to where it says Don't Follow, and change that now to time stretch. Okay, so all these tracks now are time stretched. And we're going to get rid of all of the dots we created by holding the left mouse key down and dragging over all the way up to the beginning of the song and hitting delete. Now, this song is presently at 75. And if you were to go and look at these first measures that we did, you would find all those beats that we adjusted, see there's 8, that's where we stopped, are right on the 75 mark. If I go down here, I can actually close the tempo track at this point. Go down here, I usually like to be at the beginning of the song just in case, and set the beginning of the song at 83, and we find out now that our beats are still where they are supposed to be. So these tracks can be copied and pasted and imported. Once you actually do copy a track over, I always encourage you, in fact there's a setting that does this automatically whenever you save, but I always encourage you to copy external files, because it will bring those files over now and make them a part of this song, and you won't ever lose them, whereas you might if you were to delete the other song, then it would be gone. So that's a safety precaution to do there. So this is the process, and it's one that, like I say, has worked well for me, and I hope it works well for you. So I wish you good luck, and God bless you.